Okay, so hi YouTube. I'm getting right into it. No long with the introduction. I literally am a night owl. I study better at night for some reason. I've been taking notes on this is my food, my dinner. I was eating and it splashed on the book. But now I'm able to study in my room, my house, my apartment, being that now I have my table. I arranged it. I did it in the YouTube video that I'll be posting a little bit later on. So make sure to, keep subscribe to my channel, Real Meraki Love at Real Meraki Love on all my socials, including my YouTube. And you'll be able to see when I post that on Friday. So right now, I'm already 57 minutes into the video. It's a 2 hour and 41 minute and 13-second lesson. And then I'll have to move into the actual questions. And I would say that I am a hands-on learner, so I really do want to dive into the questions, but I have to learn the material first. And if it takes 2 hours for me to do that, then that'll just be that. But I'm really proud of myself. In the span of 2 days, I was able to keep focused and do this for this amount of time. And I slept, I ate, I built up furniture, and I did all those things I needed to do and still kept focused to the mission. And so that's what I'm gonna do here. I've been taking notes, so I have to go back and I have to fill it in, but I was just trying to write down all of the rules and the steps, and then after I'll go through and do the understanding part. What would save me time is if I was able to print out the lesson. However, when I get to it, it doesn't allow me to. I tried to print it out on the MacBook and every page was blank, and that was pretty sad. Maybe I had to download it as a file first. I don't know if the file is locked. I don't know if anyone's familiar with LSAT Max, but that's what I use. Let me see what happens when I try to export it as a PDF. Because if I had that, it would have been, done way quicker. See, like, here it's not blank, so let me, it's not blank here, it opens here. So I don't know if I email it to myself, if that'll work, and then if it will print is another question, because they have a printer downstairs. So I'm gonna message it to me, and if it works, now I know for the 15-hour one to not sit there and write out everything. I can literally just it's showing the PDF, so I can literally just get straight to work and not have to enter keys there, and not have to write everything out. But right now I'm writing the principles. I'm not gonna write the actual passages out. So I have to learn the transitive property. I have to learn, I'm on the either or statement. So I'm almost done with that. But when I get to the passages, I think I might just, I might continue. I might stop. I'm not sure. Hi, Jollity. Thank you for the like and saying your hilarious. I hope you're doing well. God bless you. Thanks for watching, Allison, Dwayne. Shout out to y'all. This rose is like, I'm gonna put it somewhere not too sticky. Nice, it's right in the dinosaur's mouth. Interesting way to have that centerpiece, but back to the books. Right now, I'm doing LSAT prep and I'm writing out everything since I wasn't able to print out the sheets. I'm writing it out so I can understand. I'm doing sufficient and necessary conditions on LSAT, which is like the law school admissions test that I'm studying for to learn their conditions. All you have to do with the LSAT, it's not impossible to take, it's not hard, it's just time consuming. And if you have ADHD or difficulty staying focused or things of that nature, or these diseases that America tries to allow people to put on themselves, then it's going to be difficult or intimidating to you. You just have to change your approach to the LSAT when you're studying for it. And being that I changed my approach, whether it's change your setting, change what you do, change the amount of time you contribute to it, all of those play a role. And so for me, what I did was change my setting and change the time that I allowed myself to contribute my all into my work. And sometimes it's important to leave your house because you can get distracted. But if you have the self-discipline to not worry about the dinosaur in the rose that's shaking on the table, then you can effectively do it. But it was literally shaking and wobbling, so I had to find somewhere to put it. And then being that I appreciate so much like the little things in life, like I literally enjoy how the rose is like the dinosaur's holding the rose. It reminds me of like my mom, like, you know, those cute people that like bite the rose and they try to give it to their like they try to keep like a spice, or they try to give it to their significant other and they're biting the rose, like very cutesy. My mom happens to work at the American Museum of Natural History, and she has a co-worker that made this dinosaur. So this is a very much so staple piece that I wanted to take time to appreciate. And I really love it. I want to start talking less. That's something that I learned in like literally high school, especially when it comes to doing YouTube videos. Say less. So I take that critical, constructive feedback very personal, and I've been trying to stick to it. And it's true, the people that you surround yourself by, you adapt their values, their attitudes, their talking styles, and things of that nature. No offense to people that are not of color. I don't think I can offend y'all anyway. Those people say a lot during their presentations, and if you hear that all day long, it's gruesome. You want to gouge your ears out and your eyes because you want to gouge everything out, because stop saying during your presentations. Like, there's so much other filler words that you can say, transition words. Don't say But this is me just trying to be a good lawyer and trying to be a good speaker and just trying to pace myself and learn life. That's all. That's all for me. I think I'm on the last one until we get into the unless statements. I think before I get into the unless statement and their rules, I want to focus on going back before I move forward. So I have these to say, I'm taking the information and I don't want to jump ahead of the curve. I see the material, but I want to take in and understand.
Who introduces sufficient? Turn the page. All statements, which we've seen already when we discussed all mammals, each rectangle has 4 right angles. Each, again, introduces sufficient. Rectangle here would be sufficient. The other part of the statement, 4 right angles would be necessary. So
it's necessary for a triangle to have a rectangle to have 4 right angles in order for it to be a triangle. And if it doesn't have 4 right angles, then it's not a triangle.
Positive, if you do not have 4 right angles,
a rectangle. It's not a rectangle.
Moving along here,
have 4 right angles,
any diagram just like all, each, and every. So we know that any.
Would it be wrong if I argue that a square has 4 right angles? Is a square a rectangle?
And introduces sufficient.
And this is when I dive off into my rabbit holes, but it's important to know. And people think they know everything, and I literally don't. So yes, a square is a rectangle. A rectangle, by definition, is any quadrilateral 4-sided figure with 4 right angles, each 90 degrees. Square is a special type of It's a special type of rectangle because it has all 4 right angles and all 4 sides of equal length. So every square meets the conditions to be a rectangle. And I find that interesting information to note take because in my head before that, I had to reframe my thinking. I'm like, how can a square be a rectangle? It's impossible. Those are 2 different things, but they are all the same thing because it has right angles, whether they are equal length or not. And so going through the law test, you break down these simple logical things that you don't think about on an everyday basis, mainly because why would you?
So square here is going to be our sufficient condition. The other part of the statement, 4 sides of equal length, is going to be our necessary condition. So 4 sides of equal length. Contrapositive, if you do not have.
And if I'm abbreviating these things, it's going to be difficult for anyone to understand what it is that I'm talking about, especially if it's like 4SEL. Like, what is that? So the material in itself, I heard somebody use the word that it's sheer material. Law school isn't hard. Anyone can do it. It's literally just sheer material. You don't have to be the smartest individual to go to law school. And so that's why I'm sticking committed to that goal and that mission. And I'm excited to see what it is that I produce.
have 4 sides of equal length. You are not square. So again, all, every, each, any, all treated the same. Introduce sufficient, the other part of the statement is necessary. Moving on here to people who statements. People who introduces a sufficient condition. The other part of the statement is the necessary condition. People who get pregnant are female. People who introduces sufficient, so pregnant is our sufficient condition. The other part of the statement is our necessary condition, which is female. So if you are not a female, you cannot get pregnant. Which brings us to no statements. So the statement that no x's are y's means that something cannot be both a y and an x. Stated another way, x and y are mutually exclusive variables. So to diagram a no statement, we have 2 rules. First, pick a variable, x or y, make it the sufficient condition. So let's pick x. Now, negate the other variable and make it the necessary condition. The other variable here is y, negate it, and make it necessary. Notice that if I had done the reverse and picked y,
Corey?
now negate the other variable and make it the necessary condition. The other variable here is y.
The statement no x's are y's mean that something cannot be both x and y, or stated another way, x and y are mutually exclusive. To diagram a no statement, the rule: step 1, you pick a variable, i.e. x or y, and make it the sufficient condition. Step 2, negate the other variable and make it the necessary condition. It's going to be interesting to see how they put this into words on the testing part.
And it is necessary. Notice that if I had done the reverse and picked y be my sufficient condition, then the other variable, the negation of it, would be my necessary condition. And you notice that these are contra positives and identical in meaning. So it doesn't matter which one you pick, you're going to arrive at both regardless. So that is how we diagram no statements. Turn the page, let's take a look at an example. No mammals are cold-blooded, so have mammal and cold-blooded. So now pick one, make it our sufficient condition, mammal. The negation of the other variable is our necessary condition, not cold-blooded. So if you are a mammal,
Cold-blooded.
you are not cold-blooded, contrapositive. If you are
not
cold-blooded, then you are not a mammal. And notice that is what we would have got if we had picked cold-blooded as our sufficient condition. The negation of the other variable, mammal, not mammal, would become our necessary condition. Not both is diagrammed just like no.
One cannot
be in both Los Angeles and New York at the same time. So again, what are our variables here? LA and New York. So pick one. Let's go with LA.
LA, you cannot be in LA
That's
and
our
New York at the
sufficient
same
condition.
time,
The negation
or you
of
can't
the
be in
other
New York and
variable,
LA at the same time.
New York will become not New York is our necessary condition. Contrapositive. If you are in New York, you are not in LA.
I'm gonna put it in 1.5 just for mental health
So now, it's
purposes.
important for us to think about the possibilities that can arise here with not both statements. So first, I know that if I'm in LA, then obviously I am not in New York. I also know that if I am in New York, I am not in LA. We also know that being in LA and New York together is impossible. Right, because if you notice, if I'm in LA, I'm not in New York. If I'm in New York, I'm not in LA. There's one other possibility. If I'm not in LA, is it possible that I'm not in New York? In New York, not being in LA is our necessary condition. Do I know whether the sufficient condition exists? If something is a vegetable, is it a carrot? Well, it's possible that it's a carrot. It's possible that it's not a carrot. So you notice that it is possible for someone to be not in LA and not in New York. So these are our three possible scenarios when dealing with not both. The only thing that is impossible is the idea of both being present because they aren't mutually exclusive events. Which brings us to either or. So now the statement either or means that at least one of the variables must exist. So either x or y, one of x or y must be present, and the rules to diagram either or statements are as follows. Take a variable, doesn't matter which one, make it a necessary condition. So our variables here are then x and y. So we're going to pick one, so let's go with y, and make it a necessary condition. So now, step 2, negate the other variable, which is x, and make it our sufficient condition. So you notice if I had picked x as my variable, I would have made it necessary, and the other variable y, the negation of it, would have been my sufficient condition. And again, you notice these are contrary positives. Same statement. Doesn't matter which one, make it a necessary condition. So our variables here are again x and y. So we're going to pick one, let's go with y, and make it a necessary condition. So now, step 2, negate the other variable, which is x, and make it our sufficient condition. So you notice if I had picked x as my variable, I would have made it necessary, and the other variable y, the negation of it, would have been my sufficient condition. And again, you notice these are contra positives. Same statement. Doesn't matter which one, we're going to arrive at both statements regardless once you make the contra positive. So now, let's take a look at an example, either love me or leave me alone. So what are our two variables here? We have love me and leave me alone. So now I'm going to pick one. Let's go with love me, make it my necessary condition. My other variable, leave me alone, I will negate it, and that is my sufficient condition. Assuming I have picked leave me alone as my variable to make my necessary condition. Then my other variable, love me, I would have taken and negated it to be my sufficient condition. Again, you notice that would be the contrapositive. So if you're not going to leave me alone, then love me. If you don't love me, leave me alone. But now it's important to discuss the possible scenarios that exist when dealing with either or statements. So again, we know that if I don't have x, I must have y. Don't have y, I must have x. We know that it is impossible for both y and x to not be present. Again, either or, by definition, means at least one. But there's another possibility that we should be aware of. If I have y, do I know whether x is present or not? Again, you notice y is necessary in my sufficient and necessary statement. I don't know whether x is present or not. Either one is possible. So it's important to realize that with either or, having both is also a possibility. At least one, but nothing is stopping both variables from being there at the same time. So you notice the distinction between either or and not both. Okay, so it's an important distinction. We introduce it here. We're going to revisit this as we get to logic games. But it's just important to make sure we're clear on how to diagram not both and what are the possibilities, and how to diagram either or and what are the possibilities. And again, you're trying to figure out what possibilities exist, always look for the necessary conditions, right? When I was looking at not both, and I looked at the necessary conditions, it shows me that not in Y and not LA is possible. Similarly, when I was dealing with either or, having Y, having X, Where's the necessary
I
condition?
want to know, why did the LSAT remove logic games?
Possible. Again, the reason you're looking for the necessary condition to try to determine the possibilities is because you realize that the necessary condition doesn't tell you anything. So it's possible sufficient is there, it's possible it's not, right? Just because something is a vegetable, it's possible it's a carrot, it's possible that it's not. Turning the page, we encounter unless. So unless introduces a necessary condition. So the part of the statement that follows unless will be the necessary condition. However, the second step here, the negation of the other part of the statement is going to be the sufficient condition. So let's take it.
The Disabilities filed a lawsuit against the logic games for LSAC. They said it was 2019. Two blind test takers filed a lawsuit against the LSAT admissions test, claiming the logic game section violated the Americans with Disabilities Act. The court issues test takers relied on drawing complex diagrams to solve those questions, something not reasonably accommodating for visually impaired individuals. As part of this settlement, LSAC agreed to review and overhaul the section within 4 years, and so they added another logical reasoning section to maintain test validity and understandable and virtually no change in the LSAT score, a difference of just 0.01 point, and maintain the exam's predicted validity for law school performance. Prior to August 2024, it was logical games, but now, starting August 2024, is replaced by a second score, logical reasoning, and that is when I took mine, was in October, November, the first year of the change. Oh, yeah. So in a way, the test was still in pilot mode, personally, I think, because you just removed the section and add another logical reasoning. Like, that's a whole flip from the lawyers that had to do logical games and those that aren't. So it's quite interesting. Now I'm on my unless statements. The rule. Step 1. Unless introduces a new necessary condition. So the part of the sentence that follows unless will be the necessary condition. Step 2, negate the other part of the sentence. And make it the sufficient condition.
example here that will clarify this. A person cannot win the lottery unless she buys a ticket. And again, we know that unless introduces necessary. So buying a ticket
Next time, I'm literally not writing this out. I'm printing the paperwork needed. But I guess it's good to help me see all of the principles, excuse me, beforehand, before I get into anything, as this is one of the most tested sections on the LSAT. And I do learn by handwriting, but I also would learn with the paperwork. I'll learn a lot faster. Without its diagram, just like unless. Imagine giving this book to somebody without any context. They're gonna be like, what in the world? I also have to schedule an email because I've seen some questionable things. Sometimes, not sometimes, a good majority of the time, yes, God is the one that always has the last laugh and lick. However, when people give you some crazy energy, you give it to them back eloquently. Know that you don't receive the negativity they have impacted toward you. And so, as I say good afternoon, hi, hope all is well. Good evening, greetings, hi, da da da. Shorty be like, mahogany, and put a dash. Ho, is you cool? Well, good thing ChatGPT is writing it and not me, because if it was me, it would have been different. And so, here's your energy back, woman. Her name in a dash. Yeah, I think that's awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome. And I'm gonna attach the screenshot to show you. I'm gonna send it bright and early tomorrow morning. Schedule send. 8 a.m. on the 28th. Beautiful. She's never been kind to me, never had any emails, respectful. Mahogany. What's the other one she got for me? She had another type of email. I seen them come up, but I'm not gonna focus on the past. The other times, it was like hello. What other times? No response. Okay. Hello, you did not submit. Da 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 da. I have assigned you. Expect to see you, girl. Like you're crazy. Yeah. Gotta complete these forms as well. So kind on this day. You know what? I'm gonna not give her back this. Jesus talked to me about this. Hello, Kristen. Comma. Hello, Kristen. Kristen Thompson. Tristan Thompson. We love Tristan Thompson, don't we? Hello, Tristan. There was this boy that name was Tristan. He always wore a mask. And let me tell you, that boy, he ain't see me as nothing but a dog. I will always disrupt his peace while he's on his way to class. He said, I really don't want to be here. Shorty talking to me. I loved it. This is one. One. I would put manufacturing and industrial aerospace before I put automotive engineering. By the way, LSAT people, I have taken a break because I need to do this assignment. Because this lady, she be coming at you crazy. I ain't gonna lie, an email. Make sure you get what you gotta get done so she don't play with your top. And that's what I'm doing. Yo, I'm still until what you hear.
B, F, I, X, C.
I thought I was fake. this thing. That dog. Global sourcing sounds evil. It really does. It sounds so evil. Global sourcing sounds absolutely evil because you're basically digging into the areas to see where you can get the most cheapest amount of stuff for the least amount of money. And okay, sure, it's smart business development wise, but that's just evil to those other countries. That's just evil. So I want to do investment banking. Entrepreneurship, startups, sales, marketing, advertising, and finance and investment banking. right? I do want to finish this and do maybe one passage. Or maybe none. I had to get that done. I had to do those mentorship things. Or they would have lost their mind and sent me a very rude email saying I didn't get things done. And it's like, girl. Could have been a good almost 45 minutes in, or over 45 minutes in. Unless can I have fire without oxygen? Until is diagram just like unless and without.
It is our necessary condition. Now, the negation of the other part of the sentence is going to be our sufficient condition. The other part of the sentence is cannot win the lottery. Negate that would be win the lottery. So we know that if you win the lottery, you have to have bought a ticket, contrapositive. If you don't buy a ticket, you cannot win the lottery. So again, 2 steps. Introduces necessary, negate the other part of the sentence for sufficient. Without is diagram just like unless. So we'll see another example here. Again, we know without just like unless introduces necessary, so oxygen is our necessary condition. The negation of the other part of the sentence, cannot have fire, will become fire is my sufficient condition. So if I have fire, there must be oxygen, contrapositive. If I don't have oxygen, there cannot be fire. Until is treated just like unless and without. So again, until is going to introduce necessary. So 18 years old is going to be our necessary condition. The negation of the other part of the sentence, cannot legally vote, which is legally vote becomes our sufficient condition. So if you can legally vote, you must be 18 years old. If you are not 18 or less than 18, you cannot legally vote. Right? You have to vote. This is not 18. Same idea. So again, remember, unless, without, until, all treated the same. Introduce necessary. The negation of the other part of the sentence will be your sufficient condition. So turn the page here now. We encounter compound statements, like the idea of specific involving and or. And the rule here is very simple.
Let me know after compound statements. Then we got the transitive property. Thank God. I was beginning to start to lose it.
Necessary, the negation of the other part of the sentence will be your sufficient condition. So turn the page here now. We encounter compound statements, right? The idea of sufficient and necessary statements involving and or.
I better get everything right when I'm done with
Converting
this.
a compound statement into contrapositive. You're going to switch every or to an and every and
To an or, right? Yeah. You just do all this kind of reversing ass shit. I definitely should have been studying this in high school. I should have. But due to the lack of mental health and mental clarity, I wasn't lack of confidence. I did not want it to be a lawyer. I was like, oh, hell no. It took me to get inspired by another individual who we're no longer friends anymore, but I was inspired to be a lawyer. Not just because I woke up one day and said I want to carry a briefcase and wear a hideous suit, but trust me, I'm going to make it look nice. But the point of the matter is, I should have been prepared for this. I should have prepared. But it's okay. Everything happens at God's timing, and I literally cannot be upset. Because I'm not. It's just, what in the world? I guess God wanted me to study from the comfort of my home, my beautiful drink, my beautiful cameras, watching me study like a lab animal. Even though, instead of, you know what's crazy? I think I am the study. While I'm studying, I am the study. Because y'all are studying me while I'm studying. So this is a scientific discovery. How did this black ghetto girl from where she came from, what we penalized her family's tree with, how is she still successful and overcoming? What did she have on her path? And you know what I'm going to tell them? God. I had God with me the whole time. down the next, and then we'll break down it together. The transitive property. The small-minded version of me wants to say the transgender property. Hilarious, ain't it? No, it's not funny. I could have kept that to myself. Not homophobic or anything. I just needed to make some light with some immaturity. I can be 100% accountable about my academic non-integrity. Or should not even the academic, it was more so my lack of integrity and my sense of humor. Sorry, when I go home, I'm not a perfect human being, but I don't hate the gays and I don't hate the transgenders. I don't. I think they're pretty interesting how they can just go out there and be themselves no matter what. And I find that pretty darn cool. So shout out to that community, how you can publicly lose your mind and be okay with it. Kind of reminds me of me as a rapper. Just saying anything obnoxious and just being okay with it because that's how God made me. And being able to learn and grow during that process. And that's what it's about. You know, nobody's perfect. Everybody's human. But people like to play this role and facade of perfectionism, and it's just all gunk. Let's get back into our outside, shall we?
So turn the page here now. We encounter compound statements, right? The idea of sufficient and necessary statements involving and or. And the rule here is very simple. When converting a compound statement into its contrapositive, you're going to switch every or to an and every and to an or. So, first example here. A.
For somebody that has to write out the lessons for herself, I ain't gonna lie, I'm doing a pretty darn good job. So I need to give myself some grace, okay? And I do. Did y'all fall asleep on the live? Because y'all are not necessarily interacting with me, but it says y'all are watching. Are y'all like just sleeping? Using the bathroom? Did you forget the phone down? Like, is everybody okay on the other side of the screen? If statements. Only if statements. See why people take classes on this. Like literally, this is a whole school class. Midnight school. And honestly, people that say, oh no, I don't want to do those kinds of work. You work all kinds of late hours, you stay late, da 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 da. Regardless, that was gonna happen anyway. And honestly, it's just replacing the coursework that you do with actual work that you're getting paid for in a nice, cozy place, right? So instead of replacing LSAT prep, I'll be doing cases at these times. And then I'll go to work. And then that'll be fulfilling. Here I'm in hopes of juggling school, job search. Job search is just as much as a full-time job. Content creation in hopes of getting paid. Beauty is also a full-time job. So, you know, sometimes I notice females try to take the load off of their shoulders by having the man pay for things, but then you got to deal with the mental health crisis that comes with dealing with men. They're pretty interesting figures. Not you, not Ron. You're a good guy. But there's some men out there that is just very emotionally taxing, and then a woman has to be emotionally stable enough to maintain that. So me personally, as this young independent black female that be building stuff up, and people enjoy coming to my lives when I'm building things, okay, I have to learn how to just roll with the punches. It's just like social media. You show up every day, whether people show up or not. That's what makes you different. That's what makes me different, and that's okay. Some people would join, some people won't. Some people would stop to watch and listen and learn. Some people won't, because at the end of the day, I am a product, a work in progress. I'm a product of not my environment, but I'm a product of my choices. And so if my choice is to do content creation and study and have the demon on my shoulder right here, which is the Shy television show, I'm able to just multitask. And I think God gives you that opportunity. He gives you beauty to enjoy these things that some would call it typically burnout. But I don't have burnout because I went to sleep. And so being that I took that nap, I'm up all night. Might as well continue this. But then there's also space for mental health and self-care. So when I do go to sleep, I'm gonna wake up in the morning, I'm gonna read my Bible, I'm gonna eat my miniature breakfast, not the whole eggs and full out thing that I've been eating during brunch. I think that schedule for me, I have been undergoing from waking up early, reading my Bible, eating my cereal, my milk, or my oatmeal, and then going directly into either a shower, and then I do those things, or shower after. And then I think that's been pretty good for me. Or I can wake up and hit the gym in the morning, and then after the gym, I can go do the LSAT preps, and then do the showering and the breakfast, and then the sleeping, and then wake up later on and do the big breakfast with the pancakes and the eggs and the sausage. And that really holds me throughout the day till around 8 p.m. where I start cooking dinner and eating dinner. I definitely want to start cooking at 7, like in that area, 6, 7 for my dinner. So I can, if I like to choose to sleep earlier, but if I want to have work to get done, then there's just that. But definitely enjoy the eating earlier. Also, sometimes I sleep in the middle of the day, and I find that to be the most effective because I have all the energy I need to for the middle of my pre-night. And when I sleep, it's like I'm rejuvenated when I wake up in the morning, no matter what time it is. And then I crash out in the middle of the day. But you see, the thing is, I'm actually physically doing work. So I'm building up the couch, building up the bookshelf. I'm like, yeah, these are fun projects, but it's time consuming. That takes away from the time of me being able to do my LSATs. So I'm gonna shift and see how I can do the wake up, gym, shower, breakfast, Bible sessions for today. Now it's 12 a.m. So how that would look. And then I want to see how I'm able to incorporate, once schoolwork would be in place of the LSAT, and I will find a good balance there. I think it's because I'm doing like snips of schoolwork and snips of LSAT, so I'm like combining the times instead of dividing the two for set allocated times, which I'll do eventually when I get more work. And I can do that quickly, or I can write it down. It's probably more effective to write it down. I have a whole plan right there. I don't have nothing to plan. I'm just whimsical. Lackadaisical, some would even describe it. I just really like that word. Good job, New England. Or England. Not New England. New England's over up there. But anyways, the point of the matter is, when I do get employment, a lot of this time will be subtracted from the LSAT. It'll be not necessarily subtracted, but it will be divided differently. And so those morning naps would probably be pushed back. I'll be doing LSAT there, some schoolwork after, or schoolwork first, LSAT then, and then where it'll be schoolwork, work, LSAT. And I think that big 3 is very important. And so once I'm able to complete my master's program time would be transitioned into the time that I'm using to work on my business. And from there, I'll be able to utilize that time. Well, I mean scale. And after that, I'll be able to utilize the other time to just, whether business could be YouTube, content creation. Like, this is my business, my social media. and just getting really serious about myself and about my life and my choices and what I want to do and how I want to do it is important. And I think talking about it is very important as well, because it's not often that, you know, people are able to be receptive of messages like this unless you're speaking to a mentor or if you're speaking to God. And so I can appreciate these moments of deep healing and learning and prep, and even when I'm halfway through the video, just pausing and talking. You know, I don't really have a set time. I know I said I'm going to take it off at 12, but life can end in a second. And I believe that God is a great individual for me to be able to know that I put God first and everything better than what my plans that were intended shall follow.
Sufficient for having B or C.
So without further ado, let's get back into our LSAT prep so we can watch the shot.
So now, our cont positive, we know we reverse, which puts B and C on this side, A on this side, negate, and now, or we know becomes A.
Wait,
So if you're not B and you're...
let's turn off point 1.5 and go to just point.
Until is treated...
I like
just
when he
like
says it's very
unless
simple and then goes ahead and makes it
without.
very complex. Well, that's because I was talking.
So again,
That's not his fault.
until is going to introduce necessary. So turn the page here now. We encounter compound statements, right? The idea of sufficient and necessary statements involving and. And the rule here is very simple. When converting a compound statement into its contrapositive, you're going to switch every or to an and every and.
A to
or.
B
So,
and
first
C.
example here.
Or A to B or C.
A is sufficient for having B or C. So now, our contrapositive, we know we reverse, which puts B and C on this side, A on this side, negate, and now, or we know becomes
And
A. So if you're not B and you're not C, you are not A. Take a look at example number 2. Where we have and. If A, then B, and C. Again, contrapositive. Reverse.
B or C. Then you are not A.
Negate. And change every and to or. So if not B or not C,
Then you are
then not A.
You're not B. If you're not B
Moving on to example 3.
and C, then you're not
A and B being sufficient for C.
So
Again,
that means
contrapositive.
A. Flip it to C.
Reverse.
Okay, so let's go here. So A and B to C, and then you go C to A or B.
And negate. And every and becomes
Or.
So if not C,
If not A or B,
then not A.
so not right here is if not C
In our
or
last example
A
here,
and B,
for
then it is not
if A or
C
B,
or A and B.
then C, contrapositive, reverse,
A and B.
negate, and every or is switched to A. So if not C,
Then it's
then
not
not
A and B.
and not B.
If one is a
So
bachelorette,
let's take a
then
look at an example now.
that person must be unmarried and a female.
If one is a bachelorette, then that person must be unmarried.
I wanted to Google that. Why do they call it bachelorette a degree and bachelorette a single? Baccalaureate degree. The word bachelorette, an unmarried woman, often the star of a dating show, and baccalaureate is a degree, like a bachelor's degree sounds similar, but they actually come from different roots. The word bachelor has been used in English since the Middle Ages to mean an unmarried man, a bachelor. When people wanted a female equivalent, English speakers in the 20th century created bachelorette by adding the French diminutive suffix "et," which often feminizes a word like kitchen to kitchenette. So bachelorette literally means female bachelor. Baccalaureate is from Latin origin. Bachelor's is a bachelor, young scholar. Baccalaureate Barry. Laurel berry. In medieval universes, graduates were crowned with laurel berries as a symbol of academic achievement. Oh. Over time, the word came to mean an academic degree or the ceremony awarding it. Oh wow, they were crowned edible berries of the laurel tree, non-toxic berry, or the toxic berries of other laurels like plants and traditional medicine to support digestive and respiratory health. Okay. This looks like the thing you kiss under a mistletoe. Under the wreath. Wow. Interesting. Different languages. Okay, I understand that. Sometimes I have to really do deep research to understand where these origins of these words come from. And I feel like once I had the dictionary and I just studied the dictionary for fun, well, mainly because my mom forced me, but also I enjoyed it after a while. Once you're forced to do something, eventually you start to like it. Or not. Well, that specific task I did. I enjoyed that at times. And I would literally look at the origins of Latin words, how to pronounce them. And so I think that's a big part of me that sees why I want to go into law and why I want to do it and why I know I will excel in law, because I love analyzing American language.
And a female. So we know if indicates sufficient, so bachelorette will be our sufficient condition. Our necessary condition then will be the other part of the statement.
Unmarried and female.
Unmarried, so
if she's not unmarried or female, then she's not a bachelorette. So we know bachelorette is sufficient. And
not married.
Not married, not female. And female.
Contrapositive, we know we reverse.
Married or female, then she's not a bachelor.
Okay, so not married will become married.
Or
Female would become not female. Bachelorette would become
the reverse. So you reverse the unmarried. So not female. Married and not female.
not bachelorette. And would become or. So if you are married or not female, which would be if you are married male.
Right, if you're married or not female, then
so
you're
again,
not a
that is
bachelor.
the rule for compound statements.
I get that.
Just remember, when making the contrapositive of compound sufficient and necessary statements, don't forget to change every and to an or, and vice versa, right? Every or to an and.
Clock it.
So it is imperative again that you memorize all of these rules. But it's also important for you to realize that this is not a comprehensive list of sufficient and necessary terminology. Again, that would be impossible. There's so many different ways to phrase it. And really understanding the concept of sufficient and necessary that we discussed at the beginning of this lesson, the idea of sufficient guarantees the existence of necessary. So the statement, cats have quick reflexes, is sufficient and necessary. Because it's basically saying that if you are a cat, we know 100% it's going to have quick reflexes. If you don't have quick reflexes,
Then you're not a cat.
I'm not a cat. So again, memorize these ones because obviously these are the most common sufficient necessary terms that appear on the LSAT. But again, just remember there are other ways to phrase sufficient and necessary, and be aware of the concept so that you can identify sufficient and necessary statements when you encounter them, even if they don't include our keyword indicators that we just discussed. So now turning the page here, one last thing we should discuss, the transitive property.
It's like
The
math and
transitive
words.
property is very easy. The idea, I tell you, all A's are B's, all B's are C's, all C's are D's, and all D's are E's. Well,
so on and so forth.
the transitive property is the idea that you can make a chain. So if A, I know you are B. If B, I know you are C. If C, I know you are D. And if D, I know you are E. To conclude that all A's are E's. Cont positive, if not E, then not A. Reverse cont positive, if not E, then not D, then not C, then not B, then not A. So now, one thing we want to discuss here about this transitive property, the idea of what can we properly conclude and what is not necessarily true. So let's imagine I gave you the same chain and I told you C exists. Well, we know we can follow that arrow to conclude that B exists. And we can further follow the arrow to conclude that E exists.
I'm just fixing where I wrote this at, so I can have space.
But now, do we know anything about A or B? C is...
Person says C exists. You know what? I'm gonna fix this here. Again. Thank God for erasers. A to B. There's no way, if mistakes were not meant to be made, there would not be a thing called an eraser. Literally. E, D, C. So if we know that P exists, well, person says P exists. Person says C exists. Then D exists, E exists, from C to E. C, D, E. This is math, literally, in words.
necessary for B. Just because something is a vegetable, does that mean it is a carrot?
No.
And it's possible that it is, and it's possible that it's not. Similarly, B is necessary for A. Again, we don't know. So you notice on these large chains that you can properly conclude and put this all A's or E's sequence together. If they tell you something exists in that chain, anything to the right, you can properly conclude. Going back to the left, A or B, it's possible A is present. It's possible A is not present. It's possible B is present. It's possible B is not present, but we cannot conclude anything about A or B with 100% certainty, but we can conclude D exists, we can conclude E exists. So that is the idea of the transitive property, again, forming longer chains by combining individual sufficient and necessary statements to make conclusions. So now that we've gone over all of that information, we're going to turn the page here and finally encounter a real logical reasoning question from the LSAT to see just how these sufficient and necessary statements actually manifest themselves on the LSAT. So we'll go over this question here together just to make sure that we're clear on the strategy that we're going to employ when we encounter sufficient and necessary terminology on logical reasoning questions.
I ain't gonna lie, I'm gonna have to come to 117 for example. Oh, there's 8 examples. I like that. So I wonder, are there 8 compounds and conditions that we spoke about? Something about me enjoys flipping these pages. I remember when we were not allowed to read or write. So every day, I made my mission to get their asses and write. You brought me from my cozy African plant, my African land, and you brought me to here to have me work and struggle. I mean, you know, I probably wouldn't have all the damage and psychological and poor conditions if you didn't extract all my resources through global sourcing. Didn't extract all of my family's resources and my people's, then we would have been able to successfully live. And probably wouldn't have had all the trauma that we had from people breaking into our homes because of the color of our skin. So let me go to the first one. Sufficient, nice. 1 if statements, 2 only statements. Only if. Okay. 1, 2 ifs, only ifs. 3 only versus the only if, and I hear this a lot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Some of them are like combinations, so like just continuation. So let's see. This is the breakdown. Well, you really can't. So they're giving me 8 examples, and that's what I have to be grateful with. So on tomorrow, I will dive into these because I'm going to print it out tomorrow, being that I emailed myself the document. So hopefully I can email, or I sent it in via message. So I'm going to email myself right now. And then I'm going to print out the select ones that I want to have printed. Questions. Excuse me. I only want a select amount of pages printed out. Wait. These are only the questions, not the passages as well. Well, if that's the case, I'm not writing the passage out because that would be super inefficient. Burnout will be destined to come. So if I can just print these questions out. I thought it had the passage, but it doesn't. So what I'll do is I'll watch the video on my iPad and circle and take note as needed on the other side of my notes with good notes. As of now, I'll just go on ahead and close this out. And tomorrow I'm gonna get started on looking at some jobs to apply to, back into that, remote jobs in my field that I would like to do, from real world analytics and music, Sony, Warner music groups. There's a lot of remote ones here. Sony analytics rep internship. And I applied to a few of these Sonys and Warner roles, except I didn't have an MBA or wasn't pursuing it. So hopefully this can possibly be sufficient. In hopes that it is sufficient. Sony analytics rep. Music director and office administrator in Pinckney, Michigan, from $16 an hour, and it's part-time. Is it remote? And it's a church. And it's it was a worship service. Okay. That wasn't what was brought to me. Communications and grant associate. New York City. Contracting work. Oh yeah, I don't plan to sleep with these, so let's get to taking these out. Look like an emo chick. Let's get to taking these out. Sony Music Entertainment Careers page. It's posted on Sony's Music Greenhouse Power Job Board. Clearly indicates United States remote as the location. Bitch, you trying to play to not it clearly indicates? Don't talk to me like that. Don't talk to me like that. Anyways, I'm ending this live once I finish taking out these rollers. Ooh, I'm feeling grown and sexy. Worship leader. Music ministry. Indeed, leave me alone. Actually, just leave me alone. Oh, this is cute. I feel grown and sexy. I have my rollers in, and now it's like a cute, natural bobby on. If I wanted to, I could have rolled them out. Right? I can flip it out as well. I think that's really hot. It's really hot. Ain't it? It's really cute. That's awesome. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed my LSAT prep. Now I'm looking at jobs. I'm probably going to be doing this now because I have time. Like, what else am I doing with my time besides watching the show? I'm probably gonna fall asleep on that anyway, so I might as well be doing job applications in the midst of it all as well. And I really love this for me. Yeah, I do. So without further ado, I'm gonna go put these clips up. I'm really happy I have these clips. I feel like I actually own a beauty salon in my house. Like, why do I need to go out there and spend thousands? And I have enough wigs to last me a lifetime. So I don't, wow, they literally all connect together. It sticks to your hair very nicely. It's like the fuzzy ones. So, hi, I believe. Thanks for joining. I'm actually about to end my live. Just took my clips out my hair and just giving gratitude for my clips that I have here and just my ability to do my hair. My ability to study and be in peace. Anyways, anyone go on this live and is watching in the future, go in peace. I love you very much. Thank you for accepting me as I am. 100% raw and real human being. Going through the motions and doing what I can do in the moment to understand where God has positioned me and where he wants me to go, and open my brain to the knowledge provided with preparation and concentration in completing the tasks at hand. So God bless you, and God bless you, TikTok and YouTube. Have a beautiful night, and on Friday I'll be posting a YouTube video, so stay in touch. It is RealMerakilove at Real Meraki Love on all socials. And yeah, have a beautiful night. Bye, TikTok. Bye, YouTube.